Hello everybody and welcome back to another Nano Reef Freak video. In today's video, we're going to check out the Innovative Marine Helio heater. The heater we're using in particular is the Helio Mini, a 50-watt heater by Innovative Marine that's going to be perfect for our Eshopps Deskmate Florida 9-gallon aquarium. First, I just want to say that I bought this product with my own money, so let's take a look and see what you get. Now this heater is not a cheap heater. It is a little over $100, but it is a titanium heater, so you do get ultra durability with it being titanium in construction. Most heaters are glass, and glass heaters can break very easily, so that is one huge advantage for titanium. Looks like you get a little cover here that just says Helio all over it. It's kind of cool. You also get a little thank you card from Innovative Marine that says thank you for purchasing. You also get a little manual about the heater itself. Kind of interesting, tells you how to hook everything up, looks like some instructions, all that good stuff. You have a caution label. I don't know if that's supposed to scare you or not. So you can see that this heater comes with a controller, a heating element somewhere in here. It looks like it's down here in the bottom right. And then you also have your magnets for holding everything together. So these magnets are pretty robust. These look like they're gonna hold the probe, and these are like 1.25 inches. They're pretty big magnets. Let's go ahead and take a look at the heating element here. It's in the bottom right. We can take a look and see just how robust this is. So there's a lot of cables here. So here we have the titanium heating element. It looks like this heating element is probably about 5.5 inches long. It does have these little rubber caps on the top and bottom just to prevent it from banging up on your aquarium. And you can tell that this is titanium, it's not glass, it's pretty hefty. And I will note one thing about this heater is that the connector looks to be a non-standard connector. It looks like something that Innovative Marine themselves have made that fits specifically for their controller. So you can't just buy this heating element and then plug it into something like an Inkbird, unfortunately. You do have to use their Helio controller, which is almost $100 on its own. So you should really buy it with the heater rather than buying them separately. Taking a look at the actual controller board here, we have, whoopsies, looks like some magnets or Velcro to attach it to the side of your aquarium. We won't be doing that. We'll probably be designing a magnetic holder for this, just like we did with the auto top-off unit. So if you haven't checked that out, check out our previous video on the auto top-off unit for this 9-gallon. We actually magnetized the controller to our mini fridge next to this that holds all of our fish food. So it's turning into a pretty sweet little setup in my office here. The controller itself looks like it has some plus and minuses on the side. You have a little switch for the notifications to alert you, and you have an M for manual mode, I presume. And other than that, looks like it just tells you a little bit about the error codes on the back, and you have presumably your temperature probe, your probe to actually connect your heating element, and then your power cord. So we'll go ahead and get this all set up. All right, so this Helio control box is pretty simple. Basically, you leave this unplugged, but you connect your heating element to this and your temperature probe, which is already on here, fortunately. And you don't want to plug this in until all the elements are attached and in the water. So basically, just don't plug this in until you got everything in the aquarium itself. We'll go ahead, we'll make the connection here for the heating element. Just make sure you don't cross-thread that, it being plastic and all. It's a really tight fit on the collar there. Okay, we'll make sure the other collar is nice and tight here. So the cable length on this Helio heater is pretty long. Looks like you get 6 or 7 feet of it, and it's pretty thick cable. We're gonna go ahead and put this in the back of the aquarium in the all-in-one unit, and this is going to be placed in a place with good water flow. You really want this heater in some good water flow, otherwise you could either not heat the water fully or damage the heating element. So let's put this in the back where the water flow is gonna be constant. Next, we're gonna take these magnets for the probe. We're going to attach the probe to this right here with this little connector. Snaps in just like that. And now we can go ahead and put this in the rear of the aquarium where it will monitor the temperature. Please note, it looks like there is a little cover in here to keep these separate. So you want to take that off before you put it in your tank. This cover is actually sticky. It's an adhesive. So you can take the adhesive pad, put it on the part that is going to be on the outside of the aquarium. And then that way you can make sure you don't scratch your glass or anything like that. So here, in the Helio booklet, it does show you a picture of exactly what this is supposed to look like. So taking a look at this, we can see that the water line is the black line here, and the heating element is in the water, and well, the sensor's in the water, and so is the heating element. They both need to be fully submerged, and you also want to try and keep your sensor kind of far from your heating element. So if you have 2 chambers like this, you can put them in opposing chambers, and then that way, your water, because when this heating element heats up, if the sensor's right next to it, it'll just turn off immediately because the water around it is going to get warmer. really quick. So the idea is that the water flowing through one side gets shot out the outlet, while the sensor keeps the heating element on until the water in the whole aquarium reaches the same temperature. All right, we do have a really tight rear chamber, being this, well, there goes the auto top off. You can see it working in action, everybody. We have a really tight rear chamber though on this 9-gallon. So we do have the heating element down here on the bottom left by the filter cup, and we do have the heating probe actually down here at the bottom on the left side, and that way it's in the return chamber. That's about as far as we're going to be able to get the probe away from the heating element in this aquarium, unless we were to put the heating probe either in the display itself. So hopefully this will work for this little 9-gallon, and I think it will, because this is such a small tank volume that this should be totally fine. One thing I would also recommend is getting a few good zip ties on your cables in the back, just to hold everything in place. With our cables properly routed in the rear chamber of the all-in-one, we can take out our controller and get started with our programming. We're just going to plug this in the power over here. We get a red light. Looks like it's set to 77 by standard, and it's 76.1 in there at the moment. So we also have a green light. I imagine that means it is functioning normally. Okay, it looks like the Helio is ready to go right out of the box. If you push the M button here, the first option is to set your temperature that you want to heat to. The second option is to calibrate this to an existing heater that's already in the aquarium if you have one. And the third option is to set the high point here, so when the heater will give you an alarm for being high. You can also set an alarm for being low if you push it a couple more times. So, and it looks like you can see like error codes. I guess it's like the last error code, and then this is where it's currently at. So you can see it's heating up to 76.5 now, and we're gonna get to that 78 temperature and keep it there. Now, I am someone who has historically been terrified of having heaters in my aquariums. I actually used to breed electric blue acaras and had a heater malfunction. Effectively, the heater got exposed to air outside of the water during a water change, and it overheated. And immediately me and my wife were like, what is that burning smell? And we thought it was everything but the heater, so it just got worse and worse and worse until we found out it was the heater. Luckily, it didn't explode, it didn't catch on fire, nothing too terrible happened really. We just had to replace the heater and we were good to go. That was a glass one as well. Having titanium definitely makes me a little more reassured with this heater. Having the controller also makes me much more reassured, because I think the controllers that are built in the heaters are just not that great, but having a separate controller that maybe is a little bit smarter is going to be great. It should keep our aquarium nice and safe. The heater also should turn off if it detects that there's a malfunction and the heater is overheating, which is really good, and we have audible alarms for having a too low or too high temperature reading. Now, one gripe that I have about this heater, it's not Wi-Fi connectable. So something like an Inkbird can connect to the internet and tell you your aquarium temperature from anywhere that you have Wi-Fi connection. So you can just check on your aquarium, see how things are going. You're on vacation and you want to know how your aquarium temperature is, you can take a look. With this, no luck. Additionally, if this starts malfunctioning and beeping and you're not here to hear it, there's no way for you to turn it off remotely. However, it was the only small heater that I could find that was small enough to fit in this aquarium that was this feature rich. So for us, it means that the Helio Mini is exactly what we are looking for. And with the Inkbird, you might be able to get something that is similar, like maybe putting a CHA Jolly heater on there or something like that. But all the other heating elements I could find that were titanium were just simply too big for this little tiny aquarium. So thank you, Innovative Marine, for making the Helio Mini. I'm very excited to use it on this aquarium, and I will let y'all know how we get along with that. I'm also interested to see if having higher temperatures improves our coral growth or things like that. Now, I will say, this aquarium was set up, let's see, 16 days ago, I believe. The aquarium is now fully cycled after those 16 days. However, having a heater could have accelerated that cycle and made it take even less time. It might have only saved us a couple days, but it would have been nice to be able to get our aquarium set up even quicker, especially for all the new reefers out there that are really excited to get some inhabitants in their tank. This is also going to speed up metabolisms of fish, corals, invertebrates, all that. So with that in mind, you are going to want to feed maybe a little more often. Without a heater, if you're feeding every couple days, with the heater, you're probably going to want to feed every day. My official recommendation is to feed every single day and multiple times throughout the day, because food is always readily available in the ocean for these animals. So having it readily available in your aquarium is important. Just keep in mind that you need to have adequate filtration to handle all that bioload. All right, everybody, that does it for this video on the Innovative Marine Helio Mini. I will catch you all on the next one, where we're probably going to install a protein skimmer. We also need to install a light and get our first fish and corals. Well, we have our first coral, which we'll talk about in some of the future videos, but we do need to get our first fish and invertebrates in this aquarium. And I have some great plans for that, so stay tuned and I'll catch you all on the next one.